It's easy to love. When repressed, the shadow can look like this. Have the courage to chip away at our outer shell, piece by piece.
You can't fight darkness with darkness, but you can switch on the light.
All of the work we do on the shadow is to get us to this point where we can forgive. To do forgiveness, we put blindfolds on to make it safe for people to share their deepest secrets.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself for not finishing college.
I forgive myself for beating up my sister.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself for hating my body.
For screaming at my kids.
For not laughing enough. For thinking I'm a stupid, incompetent asshole.
For stealing from my first boss.
Myself for being a liar.
For being rich. For being beautiful.
I forgive
for
myself.
Drinking too much. Not speaking out.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself. For lying. For cheating. Binging on my diet.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself. Forgive myself.
I forgive myself for everything. You are forgiven.
You are forgiven.
You are forgiven.
You are completely forgiven.
I think a lot of people are very afraid of their shadow. They don't even want to consider that they have one.
Brent is one of the holiest men that I know, and he is so spiritually evolved because he uses the pain of his past to be the greatest expression of himself today.
This story really began for me when I was 9 years old, and I was attending a summer camp that was managed by an order of religious men. During that summer, I was molested by one of the religious men. I remember that experience being a beginning of a split for me, from myself. It happened a number of other times during that period of time I was at that camp. I was always afraid that that guy was going to come in the middle of the night. I even went so far as to borrow a knife from someone that I kept under the pillow. This is a 9-year-old kid. I remember I just felt like some part of me died at that time. I went on with my life, holding on to that secret, holding on to that shame of not really being connected with myself anymore. The difference between forgiving and condoning. Forgiving is seeing the true heart of another person. It's beyond all the action. In holding anybody to blame, we limit our own love. People need to know that they can get help, that they don't have to carry their shame alone, that they don't have to live in a secret, and that there are people that are holding the light for them, that are willing to see them as they are through the shadow. It's the only way to see yourself, is to look at the light and the darkness and to embrace it. I use that analogy of being like a drowning person where someone's holding your head underwater. And at some point you realize that you have to be the one that fights your way back to the surface. What happened to me as a child has given me a real depth of compassion, which I'm so grateful for. Because it's so clear to me when I work with people how they're suffering, how they're hiding. And it's been the greatest gift of my life that I'm in a position where I can honor people in that way. I'm just so grateful to be able to connect with people on that most vulnerable level, that deepest level of the soul. I regained my faith because I asked for it.
Forgiveness doesn't happen in your head until it happens in your heart.
And my mom was walking downtown Beirut with the young Israelis, and she turns to my dad, and her mother had been killed by the Israelis. She goes, "Mustafa, these are young soldiers, don't they have a mother?" And if she can forgive, who are we not to forgive?
Well, you can't move on if you don't forgive. The train stops if you don't forgive. And mostly, you got to forgive yourself for taking whatever happened to you too deep, to a deep place that it shut you down.
The universe will deal with that person's karma. You don't have to worry that if you, quote unquote, forgive them, that they're going to somehow live an undeserved, wonderful life.
Each and every one of us needs to work full time on self-forgiveness.
Our motivation to forgive is increased when we understand why it's so important. It's not just to make their day better, it's to free you.
And forgiveness is the hallway between the past and the future.
The future expression of who we are as a planet, as our country in America, depends on the people that grow up, that become the next presidents, that become the next politicians, economists.
We want to make a difference. We want to somehow get it right, to feel like we did, or at least we tried to do what we came here to do. That is the gold that is being mined today.
But that's because the world is growing. We are entering a new age. That's what's going on. That's why we're talking about this.
You are a force of love. You are made from love. And love is the most forceful energy you could ever have. Accept that energy. Accept who you are. Accept your inheritance, if you will.
You're the total being of love. And don't waste a minute of it.
I've come full circle. And this is the external of what was going on inside of me. It's how we are able to perceive everything in life as an opportunity for growth. I got married, I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren and 1 great-grandson, and that's the best revenge to Hitler. You are here. You and I are here, yes.
So if you want authentic peace of mind, creativity, kindness, compassion, joy, then you've got to understand your shadow and be okay with it. Celebrate it.
If shadows could talk, they would tell us that we're as precious as 1,000,000 pounds of gold, that our brightest light can shine only when we've accepted our darkness, that there is wisdom in every wound, that there is a greater future waiting for us, that we are children of God and have a right to be here, that we were all created equal, that our pain is not personal, but belongs to every man and woman alive. That life is a magical journey of making peace with both our humanity and divinity. They would tell us that we deserve better, that we matter, that we are more than we ever dreamed possible, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there is nobody in the world quite like you. What if you knew in every cell of your body that you were living a divine plan, a plan so important, so vital for the evolution of humankind? What if you knew that everything that was happening right now that doesn't fit your ego ideals is happening to support you in stepping out of the smallness of your darkest thought into the brilliance of your biggest dream? If you take this journey, I promise you that